The heat is bad enough, but when you're trying to be out there doing a full Ironman and it's 95 to 100 degrees out there, last thing you want to be doing on your 26.2 mile run is eat. But when you get to the finish line, you're going to have to. So we're going to talk a little bit about the factor of nutrition and then adding in heat. Specifically, I'm going to go back to Ironman Chattanooga 2019, was about 95 degrees, 75, 80% humidity. It was kind of miserable out there. So the last thing you kind of want to be doing is eating. But we're going to talk about how you can mitigate that, because we all have to race in the same conditions. You sign up for a race almost a year in advance. You just don't really know what the race conditions are going to be like. Maybe you know 2 to a week out. You kind of know what you're going to be facing and get a pretty good idea. Weather forecasting isn't a perfect science by any means or stretch of the imagination. Try to do as best I can, but you can be prepared at least a week to 2 weeks in advance of what you're going to have to be dealing with. This goes on beyond just nutrition, but another discussion altogether could be about the training in the heat and getting adapted to be able to race in the heat and what that can do, because that will also affect how you're able to process foods when you're out there in the heat as well. But we're just going to focus on the nutrition and kind of some tips on and some ideas how to be able to better be prepared to process food to get calories, because especially at the 140.6 level, once you get done with that 112-mile bike ride, 26.2 miles, you could be from 3 hours if you're quick, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. If you're going that long, you're going to need something else. You're going to crash out there. You're going to end up DNF. You're going to end up with medical stand or worse. So this is what I would suggest to be best prepared on race day. The nutrition game is one on the bike. If you've seen any of my videos, any of my instruction, you've been an athlete of mine, anything, the nutrition game is one on the bike. And I've learned that from successes. I've learned that from failures. And I see it with my athletes. If you don't do nutrition properly on the bike to get you ready for doing the run, I don't care how much you try, you're going to have to walk in order to process food on the run. So if you got to that point where you're bonking on the run and you need nutrition, you're going to end up walking anyway, regardless of how good your body feels or doesn't feel. So if you're not prepared on the bike to have a good nutrition plan, because also beginning of the day when you're out there on the bike, that's when the temperatures are probably a little bit more manageable. You can probably take in a little bit more calories to try to kind of stock up to get ready for the rest of the day. So that first half of the bike ride, especially in like Chattanooga, when in the morning it was probably high 70s, low 80s. So that's a good opportunity to try to keep water on your body, try to keep yourself cool as possible, and also to take in food, because you're not expending as much energy and you're not jacking up the heart rate as high to keep up that you would on the run. So you're able to process foods a little bit better. So that is the opportunity to really get set up for the run. And that's really what I want people to focus on, especially when you're going to be doing a hot race. Coeur d'Alene, the full is coming back next year, and that's, I think, in July. It's going to be hot. So be ready, be prepared. And that bike course is no joke. So, and the run course is really no joke either. So you need to be prepared on that bike to be able to take in nutrition and get the proper calories that you need to set yourself up, because as you get on the run, it's hot, you spend energy, you're going to want to take in less and less food, less and less calories as you go along. So it's won or lost on the bike. You can kind of manage it minimal. Personally, for me, over time, going on the run course, especially a half Ironman, as long as you play the bike game right as far as nutrition, get on the run. And I experienced this at 70.3 Muncie last year. It was probably in the high 80s, low 90s. It was a hot day once you got out there on pavement, and it's basically all on pavement. You get a little bit of shade, but it was hot. And really, I'm at a point where at that point in the race, I'm not able to take in as much nutrition because it gives me GI issues, because I'm just not processing. I was able to take in fluids. I did Gatorade, endurance, every other aid station. So I was taking in some calories, but I was able to kind of get by doing a 13.1 without taking in a bunch of nutrition as far as solid foods and stuff. So 70.3, you can kind of get away with a little bit less. 140.6, you're going to have something. You got to figure out something. So the major recommendation is test in training. So don't just think of your training just as doing the miles, doing the ride, doing the time. Training is also training to get your body used to taking calories, because you can train yourself to eat and then know what that feels like, so you know how much you can push yourself or not when you're out there doing bike rides and runs. So trust, try to take something in pre-run, intentionally, 10 minutes before you're going to run, eat something a little bit more substantial than you normally would, just to see what you're going to feel like. If you go out there on a training run and you get to a point where you have to stop and yards it up, at least at least it's a training run. Or if you get to a point where it's like, well, it's joshing around in there, I just need to stop and I need to walk. That training run is a good time to know that kind of stuff. The test during the workouts, especially the longer ones, take your nutrition that you're going to use on race day and go out there and take it with you. So make sure you're testing it during the workouts. Test it in hot workouts. A lot of people, we're kind of, a time crunched athlete. We're always usually pinned to doing workouts early in the morning to try to get them done around family activities. But if you have an opportunity to get out in the heat, maybe you can take a half day of work or something like that and do a little bit longer workout on a Friday afternoon. It's really hot. I know it sucks, but plan it out, hydrate all day at work, and then go out there and do a bike ride, and then take your food with you and force yourself to eat and see what happens. I highly recommend that. Try to get those workouts and runs in the afternoon when it's hot, so you can get kind of used to those conditions, and you can use the heat training process as well. Afterwards, you kind of sit around a little bit, sweat it off, don't break fluids immediately, and it helps boost your red blood cell count. And that also helps with the whole digestive system and getting used to being out there in the heat and doing stuff. Have products locked in as early as possible. So don't be fiddling around with what brand you're going to use. You can use, and we're going to talk about a little bit more solids or fluids or whatever. Don't be jacking around with that weeks before the race. Have that figured out months before the race. As you can work for you, that's why you test out hot workouts. If you can stuff work for you, the catering endurance work for you, or you can go with what's on the course. Make sure you're testing now, like base bars and stuff. Figure it out. Figure out what brands work best for you. Try a couple different things, especially, when we're talking now, we're in January right now. That's a good time to go out there and test products. Take them in before your workouts, do your workouts, and be like, oh, I didn't really sit well. Or if it doesn't even taste good. If it doesn't taste good, you're not even going to want to eat it during a race. So find out what works, use the sample packs, whatever you can get, and just figure it out. Figure out what products you're going to use before the actual race. Because if you're jacking around with weeks before, oh, yeah, somebody said Tailwind Nutrition, it's like, you already found something that works. Don't fix it if it's not broke. So figure it out sooner than later. Like I said, solids or liquids. Personally, I can kind of do solids a little bit in the first couple miles of a run. But after that, if I put solids in my stomach, it's just kind of game over. So I've got to switch over. I'm going to introduce a little bit more using Red Bull in my training. It's got calories, it's got sugar, it's got energy, it's got something more than just water. I also use Gatorade Endurance, but after a while, that kind of doesn't sit right. I did find out in Ironman Chattanooga 2019 that Red Bull actually it gave me wings. But no, it gave me enough energy to kind of overcome a slump I was in, because I don't think I planned my nutrition quite right on the bike. Didn't take it as much as I should have. Hydration was fine. I was cooling myself. I don't think that was really an issue, but just kind of ran out of energy, a little bit lightheaded, and just could not take in calories because I knew it was going to either lead to GI distress, porta potty visits. Been there in the past. Don't really care for that. So I was trying to make it through with water and Gatorade, and then tried the Red Bull, something new on race day. I've done it before and it went okay, and it actually kind of helped out a lot on Chattanooga. So that's going to be something I kind of introduce to myself, especially when I'm doing my long rides and runs, especially I'm looking at Ironman Tulsa in May, bring the Red Bull with me down in the basement and try it on long runs and stuff. Just drink it and see what happens. Keep that bark bucket handy just in case you never know with the treadmill. Hydration is key. If you're just trying to stuff in solids and you don't have any fluids going in, especially if it's hot, you're sweating it all out, it's not going to digest. It's going to just sit there in your stomach. So if you're taking in food, you got to take in liquids too, especially water. Water. I mean, we're what, 80% water or something like that. As you can tell, I don't have a number for you, but you're a lot of water, and you need a lot of water to make all your processes work. So if you're just eating and you're having problems, you need to take in water too to help get everything moving. You're gonna have to, and this kind of goes with racing the heat anyway, you're gonna have to manage your heart rate and your effort. So if you're up there and you're thinking, I gotta hit this goal time, I want this goal pace, and you're gonna run yourself into the ground, do that, you're not gonna be able to process foods anyway. So maybe if it's gonna be hot, you're gonna be like, well, I need to back off 10 beats a minute for my heart rate. If I'm going by zone 2, if 150 beats a minute is my target, I'm gonna go to 140, even if I have to go to, running or jogging for half a mile, walking 0.1 to keep my heart rate down in order to process foods. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Have backup plans to avoid a DNF or injury. So if you're on race day, you get out there and you thought you had a good plan, and you end up at mile 10 and you're lightheaded, you're thinking about quitting, just in a dark place, have your backup plan. Walk as much as you need to, keep moving forward, try different things at aid stations at that point. If you're to the point where you got to pull the plug and you got to use a nuclear option, try different things at aid stations, walk, get cooled off, take your time, ice down, get ice in your hat. The ice sock at Chattanooga 2019, I'm going to always have a tube sock with me just in case a race gets a little warm. Perfect, load it up, cool down, take your time, look around, kind of enjoy the situation, let go of whatever preconceived notions you had about your finish or finish times, and just have backup plans. Plan A, B, C, D, E, whatever it takes to get to the finish line, because I guarantee you having a slower time than you originally wanted is a lot better than the DNF, and that is a lot better than being on the cart in a medical tent, and that is a lot better than having to go to the hospital because you're too dehydrated or your system shut down or you're in a bad spot. So you do not want to be in that situation. So make sure you have plenty of plans. So again, summarizing, we're talking about nutrition. We're talking about it out in the heat. Make sure you have a good game plan. Practice it in training. You're going to need something. For 70.3, not as much. For 40.6, definitely you're going to need something. Won or lost on the bike. Make sure you're testing and training. Figure out what products you're going to use. Are you going to use solids? Are you going to use liquids? Hydration is key. Manage your effort and have backup plans. So hopefully something sinks in from this. And if you do have any questions, anything I said, always write back, respond back to when I send these out, or comment on the videos in YouTube, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.